Okay, maybe you've got a great new camera and you want to get the most out of the quality of the pictures it can take. Or you're going on holiday soon and you want this photos to look like. Let me share with you the 4 biggest mistakes that I see beginners make. I've had a camera since I was 11 years old. Luckily, I've improved since then, and I've also taught a couple friends along the way, so I have a pretty decent idea of the mistakes that beginners make, and that will have the biggest impact on improving your photo quality. So let's go. First tip, most people when they go and take a photo, they're like this. Bloop. I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be a bad photo. And the reason I can tell is because I see that they're not holding the camera straight. It's almost always pointing downwards a little bit. And the effect that that has is that the entire background, all the lines that are supposed to be vertical, end up being kind of like this, because you're in perspective. And it makes a picture a whole lot messier. This is one of the biggest things you can see, the difference you can see between a beginner and an advanced photographer. That the advanced photographer will have this nice, clean, straight lines that make it easy to pay attention to the actual subject of the picture. So next time you're taking a photo, pay very close attention to not be pointing downwards. Instead, if you want to go down, keep the phone straight, but move the phone like this. This is why all the photographers are like crouching and laying on the ground, because most of the time, to get a nice frame and to keep the camera straight at the same time, you need to go down. I remember the other day talking to my friend. He was asking me, Marcel, which camera should I buy? I'm about to go on holiday to this beautiful piece of nature and I want the pictures to be amazing. But my normal photos are not particularly interesting. So which one should I get? Because I don't want to spend too much money, as I don't know if I'm going to be into photography after this. So I don't know how long I'm going to keep using the camera. So I told him, just use your smartphone. Use your smartphone and learn how to use it well. Because it's not the camera that makes a difference, it's the skill that makes a difference. I can take really nice pictures with a smartphone because I've practiced so long. So what does actually make the difference? What is like the one core thing that makes all the difference between having photos and having great photos? Well, you're not gonna like the answer, it's practice. But it's not just any practice, because we all have phones. Everyone takes hundreds and thousands of photos. But most people's pictures are still not very interesting or very amazing. They're just kind of average. So I thought about this for a long time and I realized that it's not just the amount of photos you take, but it's how much attention you pay and how much you try to make them better, right? And this is at 2 points in time. One, it's paying attention when you're actually taking the photo. This is gonna be a bit abstract, so stay with me. Most people, when they're taking a picture of their friends, they look at their friends. So they are looking through the lens, not into the lens. But if you want nice photos, you should be looking at the actual square and the little blobs of color, not the scene, not the memory, not the thing that actually is happening. So what that means is that you need to look at it more like a painter. And I want you to do the same thing afterwards. So when you're looking at the photos, you need to look at them critically and you need to think about, how can I make them better? So there's one thing to look at your photos and think about, oh my God, that was such a great time. And please keep doing that because it's so much fun. But if you want your photos to improve, you have to look at your pictures with the critical eye and think about, how could I have made this better? And if it helps, ask someone else. Your friends will already have a better view of it because they weren't there at the exact moment and position that you were at. So they have a different view. They don't remember the actual scene, so they will know better what to look at. They will see the actual picture much more than the memory you have in your mind. And if you have access to professional photographers, of course, ask them. But it takes practice and it takes reviewing your photos regularly. Okay, third, let's make this a little bit more practical. One of the core things I do every time, right before I push the shutter button, is I check the edges of the frame. Because one of the easiest ways to ruin a photo is by dismembering someone, or even by having an object only halfway at the kind of the edge of the frame kind of cut off, because it grabs your attention. When something is incomplete, when something feels like it's not perfectly balanced, you look at it and it distracts you from the actual subject of the photo. So right before you take the picture, just have a little 1, 2, 3, 4 scan around the edges, and that will force you to not only pause and think about the actual photo you're taking, because you're zooming out, looking at this actual frame, but also it will make your picture much better, because you might just realize that you need to move a little bit above or a little bit to the side, and that can make all the difference. That perfectly brings us to the fourth and last mistake I see people make, and that is not moving to get the shot. You see, our brains don't work the same way as our cameras do. When we see something, we have this inclination to just bloop, take a picture, but that barely ever looks good. The reason why is that our brains filter out, our brains zoom in, our brains can focus on things, but the camera just takes everything, right? And most of the time, it's actually a question of just moving a little bit, because maybe something is standing in the way, and just move 20 centimeters to the right and you have the good picture. But it's something that really requires training. It's something that you get to over time, so it's something you should practice. I think the best way to practice this is actually just try it out. When you take a photo, take another photo a bit to the left, take another photo a bit to the right, take one more up, crouch down so everyone knows you're a pro, and then maybe get closer or further away and see what that was. And then when you're reviewing your photos, you can see which ones you liked, which ones you preferred, and see why there is this difference. Over time, you will build this eye, and just like me, I can now say, oh, I need to stand exactly there to get the shot, or I have this lens on my camera right now, I cannot make it work. I cannot make a nice picture of this scene, so I'm just not even gonna try. That actually happens sometimes. Those were the 4 biggest mistakes I see beginners make, and I hope that they will make a huge difference in the quality of your photos. If you think so too, please leave a like below the video, that way people know that it's good, and that way YouTube knows that it should show it to more people. My name is Marcel. I make videos about optimizing every area of your life, becoming this universal man. So if that's something you're curious about, be sure to subscribe so that you see all the content I will be producing in the future. Thank you, man. See you later.